Welcome back to the Sundials Podcast. This week on the episode, we have some new friends of mine, Funky C, Funky Do, what is it? It's a jazz funk fusion group. How would you describe yourself?
So it's a Japanese funk fusion band. It's like a lot of inspiration from the genre which the YouTube algorithm has decided to bless recently. So I'm seeing a lot more and more of it, and that's it's all that stuff from the 70s and 80s that the Japanese were pumping out.
Basically just YouTube recommended core. That's what we started off playing.
Is that how that started? Like, how did this come about?
Okay, so little first year in the jazz course, Max McGee, he was just scrolling YouTube, and then this is when the rabbit hole started. It was initially just a Japanese jazz pianist that I got recommended to on YouTube, and it's like...
Is that right?
Ryo Fukuda, his name is. So I think I think if you're on YouTube and are a muser, you've probably seen the album. It's just a big red album with his face on it. It's very original. But yes, then like that started, and then I got recommended a few videos or like compilations of a bunch of different jazz fusion artists from a YouTube channel called Terminal Passage.
Cool.
And then, I just kind of like nosedived into this rabbit hole. It just kept going. Yeah. I kept seeing more and more of it, kept liking it. And then how like this band started was I was just sort of like, it was 2022, so a bunch of new people are in the jazz course. So me, Dan and Daisy have all, like, we've already been in uni for maybe a year or two at this point. So we're the seasoned vets, we all know each other. But with all these new people coming in, I remember, so it was one of the pub crawls we were on. So I think it was just the confidence juice that I had ingested. But I was walking around to a bunch of people and like trying to think of what instrumentation I needed. And then so I was like, okay, I need a few horns, I need a few trumpets. So I need to talk to all like the trumpet and the trombone players. And I go, hey, show them a song. And then I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think of this genre?
Yeah.
And then they're all like, I fucking love that. Like, that's so cool. Yeah. And I go, all right, cool. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, awesome. How many people are actually in the band?
So there are 9 core members. And then for our most recent gig we had a singer, which was our 10th member, dear Alex. But there has been and always will be like a core 9 members.
Yeah, cool. That's wild. Yeah, I guess there was that Ancient World show recently, and like that stage is kind of notoriously small, you know. So everyone's just spilling off the stage, you know. That was incredible though. It took me so long to kind of get in to see you guys because that room's so like low roofed. Yeah. And the whole thing was just filled. I've never seen it like that busy in there before, and so like I had to like kind of jimmy in and just get my head over the crowd.
Yeah, even for us before, like after your guys' set, Sundial's set, like was trying to squeeze through. Like, I've got like my cymbal bag on me. I'm just trying to squeeze through the crowd to get on the stage.
As a horn player, though, it's fun being on the same level as the audience. Yeah. Like being able to engage in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy having my clip-on mic so I can like roam the streets and that kind of stuff, get in with the crowd.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I don't know. I found it with the Sundials. I found it kind of awkward in that Ancient World show because I felt like I was the only person hanging off the stage. I just felt like I was like, I don't know, like pantomiming to the audience. It's like, yeah, everyone, hello, it's me. And just being at their like height, but also being like, not super short, but like average height. Yeah. And like kind of looking up to the audience and being like, there were some
giants in that.
Yeah, there really was.
Yeah, no, it's kind of, I absolutely love that gig though. Like I love the energy of being kind of, it feels like more of a connection to the crowd with me when you're on the same level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like too high up, it can just be, you know, the crowd, if it's a big show, and I don't think we've really ever played one of these in any of my bands, but like if it's a high enough up crowd and the crowd's big enough, then it's like a sea of people. But when you're on a pretty low level or just a little bit higher than them, you can really get a gist of who's there, and it becomes a lot more interactive and stuff like that. And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? So you got 9 people in the band, but I feel like there's 3 people on the couch today. Obviously, we couldn't fit everybody else in.
Definitely not.
Too many people.
Imagine that.
But I think doing a quick run through with you three about your name, when you got into music, and I guess you all met at like uni and stuff like that. So you want to start?
So I started music. I must have been 7 or 8.
Cool.
So it was my primary school in England.
Cool.
Little schoolboy. But yeah, so they were just having like this music showcase, and it was like come and try all the instruments, see what you wanna.
That's awesome.
Like, give a shot on. So I remember trying everything. And so it was a lot of the the main stuff. Like there was, I think, drums, trumpet, trombone, piano, and then violin, and then I think like flute and maybe a clarinet as well. So I remember I did try them all, but I remember going to the clarinet first for whatever reason,
Cool.
And then not being able to make a sound out of it. So I'm like, all right, let's just keep moving. And then I moved to brass. Like I was trying out the trumpet and the trombone, and I could make a bit more of a sound out of that. I'm like, all right, cool. Keep moving.
Ooh.
And then I tried drums, and I mean, being the drummer of Funky C 12 years later, I think you can see what I picked. Yeah. But it was surprisingly close. I remember thinking back about this recently, but it's surprisingly close between violin and drums. Because I don't know why, but according to the violin teacher, I had a knack for being able to hold and make a pretty not painful note out of the violin straight away.
That's awesome. I wish I had that opportunity when I was a kid. I remember I saw a trumpetist and I was like, yeah, I want to learn trumpet. And then my parents hired a trumpet and I did 6 lessons and I was like, nah, actually I kind of hate trumpet. And so it's it's a waste of time. And I did that. Then my school made me learn flute, but I didn't know how to play flute now, which is funny. And then eventually I just kind of came around to guitar, and I always liked singing and stuff like that. But it's such a long way around for me to get where I wanted to be, So I guess drums are your main thing. Do you play anything else?
No. You could argue percussion, so things like marimba and vibraphone. But I'm pretty shocking at it.
Wow, very cool.
No, it's drums. It's drums first and foremost.
Awesome,
for sure.
yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. And Daisy?
Cool. Yes. Hi, I'm Daisy. I started back when I was still in primary school as well. I remember I started primary school and I had seen somewhere playing violin, very similar to Max. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to play violin. That would be really cool. But I'm not from Adelaide. I'm from Port Augusta, which is about 4 hours away from Adelaide, and so there was no teacher in Adelaide. So for me to do violin lessons, and because I was only 4 at this stage, I would have had to drive 4 hours for a 15-minute lesson and then drive 4 hours back.
Fuck that.
And my parents were supportive of me going to music. They're how about piano instead?
Yeah.
And so I started playing piano. I still play. I very much more classical stuff, more repertoire, doing AMEB and that. And then one day they're just my teacher was have you thought about a second instrument? I'm like, yeah, not really, but I'll give it a crack.
Yeah.
And they're like, what one do you think? And I was like, I just think saxophone because that's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's it was Zoot from the Muppets that really got me.
Very cool.
So and then I just kept playing. I had a saxophone teacher. She wasn't actually a saxophone player, but she played trumpet. And then after my first year of lessons, she went back to Adelaide. So I was teacherless again. So I was having Skype lessons and driving up to Adelaide at this point because it was around I was in middle school at this time. And then in high school, started attending boarding school here, and they actually had jazz bands and that, and kept playing.
That's awesome.
That's me.
Wild. And
yeah, I'm Dan, and thanks. I don't know. I think the first instrument I learned was piano because my grandpa plays piano. So when I was I think 6, I started learning that. But I kind of, there's only so much you can make a 6-year-old learn something they're not crazy into. And it's, I think one of the most important ways of connecting someone with their instrument is what do you like to listen to and all that. 6-year-olds don't know what they like to listen to.
Yeah.
They have no idea. So I didn't really keep going with it. I think I dropped it when I was maybe 9 or 10. But then, my parents wanted me to keep playing an instrument. And every time, I didn't even really have many favorite songs with it, I think, but every time I heard electric guitar, I was like, oh yeah,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So then in year 6, I started learning guitar, just acoustic, and kind of kept that up for a bit. And then when I got to school, I wanted to keep doing guitar. I remember like the band thing when they kind of put everyone in band in year 8, you get to like list your preferences. Yeah. So you're not necessarily going to get what you pick. And I was
I remember
guitar. And they didn't have guitar in the band, so I was like, bass then. And I ended up getting put on sax, which was like my third preference.
Wow.
And like I was like, this is a bit of a stitch up, because like one of the guys who got bass didn't even like play guitar or bass before, and I'm like, I literally play guitar, give me bass. But I ended up just like really loving sax, loved learning it, and I still kept doing guitar on the side. But I kind of just like cruised through school, and then just like messed around on guitar in my spare time. Like I was never really, I did all right. Because I think I just kind of caught on sort of quickly when it came to like band stuff. But I never really pushed myself to be that great, I don't think.
It's like hobbyist or something.
In a band, yeah. Like I did, what I needed to do for school. And I think I kind of just didn't. I never really had anyone to look up to in that sense of like, if you work on this thing and you do this, you can achieve this thing. It was just kind of like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like in year 12 was like, damn, there is not really anything I want to do other than music.
Yeah.
So like halfway through year 12, I was like, I'm going to go to a con. And my teachers were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
No one's done that. And yeah, just kind of rocked up doing jazz sax and playing guitar as well. And then like... Yeah, I don't know. It was a bit of a shock to the system because obviously the con things get a lot more competitive. So there were a lot of people who like I remember rocking up on my first day, just kind of having like cruised through like school band. And then, there's this, I remember running into this guy, we were talking about sax. I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, I've been practicing like 2-3 hours a day on the holidays. It's been pretty good. And I'm like,
damn,
people do that? Like, you can practice for 2-3 hours. But no, it was great because I kind of all of a sudden had new goals, and then COVID happened, which was great because I just got to lock myself in my room and get a lot better at sax.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making this really long.
No, it's cool,
But
man.
then, like, kind of end of the year, after kind of pushing myself more than I ever really had, first year of uni, I was just kind of like, I could do this with, like, anything. I'm going to go join a band. I'm going to go do stuff. So I got, like, way better at guitar and, yeah, just kind of, like, haven't looked back that much since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, that kind of sounds like, I guess, my thing with music, where in the beginning, I didn't really, like, I guess my mom kind of directed me to learn, like, piano, but when you're a kid, you kind of just, like, take the thing that's given to you, and you're like, yeah, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I never really, like, liked it at all. I never really, there was no, like, thing to shoot towards, so it was just like, I guess I'm just doing this, whatever. I never really liked it that much. My brother got like really good at piano. He's actually like an incredible clarinetist, saxophonist, and pianist. He's like wild, but I just kind of yeah. But I never really stuck with anything, and I had to learn flute, like I said, and I hated it and stuff like that. And it really wasn't until like school was finishing or after school that I guess like when you get your own like independence, you're gonna get to choose what you actually want to do. That's when I was like, oh yeah, I guess I am like quite creative, and like I'm not really shooting at anything else that like conventional school directs you towards. And then like my friend, I was like get drunk at parties and play guitar type of homeboy, and my friend was like, yeah, your songs are great, man. I'm gonna record them, and I was like, what? And so like I was just like writing songs for fun and just like making stuff for fun. I didn't really think about it at all as far as like a careerist thing or anything like that. And then then they got recorded. I ended up going on this like little tour, and all this like just things kind of just happen from the next thing happening, and suddenly it unfolds, and you're like doing a Sundials podcast or something like that, I really appreciate the unfolding creativity stuff, you never really set a path, but you do what you do and you love what you do, and it takes you somewhere.
I think that's the thing, like it's that realization, like you start off kind of just doing stuff for fun, and then it's that realization of like, oh, if I actually like put in proper work on this, there's nothing really stopping me. Like that's all it kind of is. You know?
Absolutely. I guess I suppose a quick thing to ask would be, what is your experiences with like, because we talked a bit about like I guess con stuff and even the early forming of bands and stuff like that. What's your experiences with playing, like performing in bands and stuff like that? Like for you, example, is this Funky C been your first thing apart from kind of con stuff, or?
It's oh gosh, I've only really gotten into bands this year, to be honest. It all just sort of happened all at once.
Or last year, it would have been.
So, last year, sorry, it's
Yeah.
2023 now. Hey.
Historical
That's the
accuracy.
easy one.
Yeah.
This podcast.
But yeah, so like, because pretty much all throughout my musical career, it has just been very, I guess, formal education.
Yeah.
It's been like, your high school concert band, your high school big band, the primary school, there was like the Brighton primary school concert band, and it was a lot of that. So for the very good majority of my, musical career, it's just been, just these primary school or high school bands.
Yeah.
And then coming into uni, it's a lot different. Like, I'm coming in, I'm hearing, this drummer, he went on tour around New Zealand. And then this drummer, he's played with this, like, absolutely, world-class band when he was 15. And then there's me, like, I want to go to hall for a high school concert once.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think it's so annoying. That's one of the reasons I like the idea of doing this podcast, is that, like, when you're starting from the very beginning, it feels so like you see these incredible artists and incredible bands that are like, I don't know, just making these huge, big money moves or whatever in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, what is going on here? But it's cool to talk to people that really were just like, yeah, I like music and I want to, and then suddenly but surely it's like, well, now you're heading towards that kind of like that big money moves landscape type thing, but it starts from something small and just something humble, something that you like doing.
Yeah, I was definitely exactly like that. I was just looking at all these people going, how the bloody hell they do this?
What is going on here?
I'm pretty much, at least right now, I'm in the exact same stage as uni as them and as life as them, and they're they've been on tour. Like, what the hell have they done? But so it pretty much what happened was so my first year at uni, it was just pretty much spent wishing. It was just like, damn, I wish I could gig like these guys and get my name out there and do all these cool gigs at these pubs and whatnot. And then last year, it was just sort of like, I had Funky C kind of brewing in my mind for a while. Like, because obviously going down that rabbit hole, it would be like now that I'm surrounded by very, very good musicians and jazz musicians nonetheless, like making a jazz fusion band is definitely very possible. But then, for me, it was just, like I said, I was just having to ask people. And then everyone sort of, came on board. But, yes, there was that. And then also this other band that I'm in, Flower Bed. So that was just out of my desperation, or not desperation, but like want to get gigs. I joined this like online forum thing, making bands.
Yeah.
And pretty much I went on it for about a week, didn't get messaged anything, and I'm like, screw this, I'll close it. And then I remember getting an email about it a year later, so this was about probably early 2022 that this happened, that I'd opened up this email, and it's like, hey, we wanted to make a band, saw that you're like very prominently a jazz drummer, and we think you'd be a good fit. And I'm like, at this point, I still had no bands. Like Funky C would have only been made a few months later from this point.
Yeah.
So I just kind of go, oh, what the hell? Someone's asking for me.
Jump in.
I'll jump in. So then, a good few months later, that, we started doing gigs with that band. That's Flower Bed, that band it's called.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't seen you guys, but I've heard of you guys. And it sounds cool.
We're still fairly new. We've only done like maybe 2 shows. I can't remember. But then, so that's really where I am. It's been all very formal to this point, and no actual like bands going out gigging, getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it just sort of all happened at once. And that's my experiences with the bands and such.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you two?
I'm quite similar to Max, very much high school band kind of stuff. Like, had a couple bands go from like outside of the like school curriculum, and that, like when I was in the boarding house, we had a little boarding house rock band. We just did like shitty little like blues rock kind of stuff just about the boarding house.
You never do that. Sorry.
Um,
It's a joke. Never mind. Keep going.
But and then first year of uni, this is when I was still doing teaching rather than music.
Oh, cool.
Represent.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Max and I did the same degree. Or we all did the same degree technically, except you started a year before us.
Yeah, I started
Yeah.
2020, did a year and a half, and then transferred.
But at the time, like, it was only Max and I that we really knew in the course that were doing the same thing together. So I definitely just, like, latched onto him because I'm like, oh my gosh, you actually know what I'm going through. And I was like, hey, I kind of want to, like, start a pop band. You want to, like, be the drummer for that?
Oh, I remember this.
You remember this? Yeah. And my mate from high school and just some other, like, kids in the con, we tried to do this little, like, pop band. I think Grape Soda.
Grape Soda, I think the name ended up being.
That was when I was delusional, when I was really sick and everything like that. I was really sick and I just ate a whole bunch of like cold and flu tablets and I was like, Grape Soda would be the best
What a name.
It was,
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but like it could be better. But that kind of just disbanded after people weren't committed and that kind of stuff. Other stuff going on, uni. And so I was kind of like, look, I've just really wanted to go out and gig and play along with different people and that. And then Max comes up to me and is like, hey, have you listened to much Japanese jazz fusion?
Probably drunk off my head when I was doing this as well.
And I just said to him, no, I haven't. I really have not listened to anything before we got into this. And I said, but like, love to listen to it, love to just play in a band and that. And so that's where it developed. And then, literally maybe a month and a half ago, and Jared asked me if I was interested in the Sundials. And so now I'm playing with y'all as well, and that's ridiculous.
That's cool,
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. And so it feels like it's gone from 0 to 100 really quickly.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's been almost the exact same with the both of us.
And so I, what is it? It's almost like this is what I've wanted for so long, and I finally am able to get it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I feel similar actually with like I guess the Sundials. Is that like suddenly I've become like rock and roll businessman? Like I really enjoy that. like moving shirts around. We got shirts, by the way. Shout out the Sundials t-shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like just doing all this stuff and like playing kind of like bigger and better shows and I guess getting a bigger take that can be reinvested and all that stuff. And yeah, it's kind of like running a business but with a tutorial mode on because like no one's taking a cut from it, so it's just like all the money's getting reinvested back into it. So hopefully we can actually start taking a cut at some point. But I guess it is cool when that stuff starts to happen, like when everything starts to like click into place and then the ball's rolling and all that stuff.
Exactly.
What about you, like band experience?
I mean, I think, the first band I ever really... I remember, like, jamming, like, a Weezer with a couple mates.
Hell yeah, right on.
In, like,
The
high
origin
school, and, like, Reptilia by the Strokes and trying to play, like, Smells Time, like, Teen Spirit, and,
Cool.
like, it going terribly. But then, like, the first time it kind of... that was just, like, high school and, like, a bit after. But then, like, I remember end of 2020, I was kind of at a bit of, like, a turning point in my life for a few reasons. And I remember kind of, like, and it was also right after uni finished. So I had that, like, I think everyone has this after their first year of uni where they're like, it's like pressure, practice. And then you kind of fall in a heap at the end of it and take a break for a bit. And then you come back and suddenly you can do all this stuff that you could not do a year ago. And you not really had time to kind of think about it. And that kind of, having that and just being like, I've gone through and I'm like 5 times better than I used to be. I was like, sick, I can do stuff. And I remember, I went out to, like, just really spontaneously, kind of, I think it was, like, Friday night, I had nothing to do. I hit up a friend and I was like, oh, Teenage Gens are playing tonight at, like, 9 p.m. And went to that gig. And I kind of, like, had this little epiphany when I was watching them, because they're, like, same age as me, I think. And I remember just seeing them play, and I was like, and this is, like, the Gov stage as well, and I was like, the only real, I mean, like, they are incredibly talented, obviously, but the only reason that, like, I've not done that is because I've never tried to.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like, the only reason that I can't do that right now is because they have been doing this for, like, years longer. They've been putting heaps of work in, and I've just kind of not done it. So then I was like, right, I'm going to start a band. I'm going to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, from then on, was like, I'm going to do whatever I need to. Like, I remember I hit up a drummer and, like, sent some videos of me playing guitar, and he was like, yeah, that's sick, man. Do you write? And I was like, oh no, and he's like, well, I'm trying to start like a duo or a trio, so if you don't write, it's probably not going to work. And I'm like, oh damn, so I started writing. Like that was it.
Wow.
And then I was at another gig, and accidentally ran into like Matt, who was the like lead singer of Slippery People when that was a thing, and we just kind of had this moment where we were like band, and then that was it. We started doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Paddy as well. Shout out.
Shout out, Paddy.
Yeah,
audio
bass.
man.
Yeah, no, and then that was great. We worked on that stuff for ages. Played a few shows, with them, which was sick. Like start of last year mostly. And then that came to an end like halfway through the year, and I think a bit before that happened, Max kind of approached me at Funky C, and I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's been sick. That's my experience so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So inspirational. Every time you talk, you have some bit of wisdom.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
I don't know.
great.
It's like it's kind of it's a big thing. Like I think I don't know, not to like get deep or preachy, but I feel like I have gotten way more kind of confident in myself since I've started like making music and playing shows and stuff.
Absolutely. I think I got something similar to what you said about Teenage Jones, seeing them is when Dainties were on, I made a comment that like it really is like you can have an idea of a thing you wanted to release or a tour you wanted to go on, and you can just sit on that for like 3 years, and then like suddenly 3 years have passed and you're like, damn, I didn't even attempt it because it seemed either so lofty or I had the perfect idea in my mind, because it was so perfect I didn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
You never started. But if you just throw yourself out there, like I guess just for the record, everybody talking about being at uni. I didn't go to uni. I really just like barely could play guitar, and the first show I ever did was like on this guy's tour, and I couldn't even play for 45 minutes, like just basic acoustic stuff, and it kind of sucked. But I failed. Like you fail when you go, oh, or like you kind of suck, and then you just get better and better.
So much from playing a live show, because suddenly all the mistakes you've kind of ignored are like right there in front of everyone.
And you learn from what you do, and you can learn a lot positively, but you can also learn a lot from your errors. And I guess, I feel like that's something that I never really was properly educated on, was like how to learn, like how to jump into it.
The same,
yeah. So I guess on learning, it seems like I've got with me like the or some crucial members from Funky C. What is something you would have liked to have known before kind of starting a project? Something that a tidbit that somebody could have told you that would have really helped. Or if you had a friend that was starting a band, what would you tell them? Something they wouldn't think about that they should have.
Jeez. It's a surprising amount of like behind the scenes and logistical work. I guess, because I mean, all of a sudden I had to like, from our first show, it's like, oh yeah, we're a band, cool. Like just having rehearsed and all that. And, we play our first show, we get asked by these very crazy good musicians, Merc Lurker.
Oh, cool.
Because
shout out Merc Lurker.
Shout out Merc Lurker. Yes. Thanks for the first show, gang.
Yeah.
But so they were all either current or ex JazzCon students.
Cool.
And so I was good mates with one of them. And I go, hey, do you reckon we'd be able to play a show with you guys, send and record? And they're like, hell yeah, like you guys sound good. And so it turned from just weekly, maybe a fortnightly rehearsal, to okay, we're doing a show. And then it's like when so and then when we got paid for the show, he goes, all right, send me an invoice. And I go, huh?
Yeah, what? Yeah. No, I got that as well.
So it's like this was probably one of the big behind the scenes logistical things, I guess.
I
but
know,
it was like the financiering of a band.
Yeah.
So he goes like, yeah, send me an invoice, and I go, invoice. Yeah, I'll be right on to that.
I remember because day after the gig, you were like, Dan, I'm out all day. Can you make our ABN?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah. I
so I'm just like sitting at home, like asking for everyone's like addresses and stuff. So I can.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Thank you so much.
So we can get paid for the gig we've like already played. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. Yeah. So he messages us. I just read the notification because I didn't want to make it seen, because it was just on Instagram or Messenger or whatever. But I just go, oh shit, how do you do an invoice? And then I look it up and it's like, invoice, you need an ABN, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And so I just go, I was out. I don't know where I was, not anywhere near like a laptop or anything. So I go, Dan, like, I don't want to look like an absolute idiot. Like, can you make an ABN?
That's wild.
Yeah, I'll figure out how to invoice. But then, we figure out the ABN. Got to get the tax file number ready. Got to do all the paperwork. Get all. We had about like 4 names on the partnership. So poor Dan had to like get all of the personal details.
I think I followed as soon as you were like, how do I do this? I was like, just let me do it because I'd done it before for like teaching.
Okay.
And stuff.
That was it. So I was just like, and then with our most recent gig, the headlining show, a bit more teething issues because this was our first headlining show. So we got the square reader, like what you'd read the debit cards with.
Yeah.
And then I'm setting that up, yada yada yada, and then I have this little panic moment because it's like I set it all up, I link it to the bank account. That's another thing, having to like make a banned bank account. That isn't too bad, but it's just part of the logistical process. But then it's like, I get the card ready, I tap it, and it doesn't go through. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, the gig's in 3 days, and the money, like the payment thing isn't working. So then I figure that out, and then it's like, all right, cool, ready to go. We're getting all the pay through, yada, yada, yada. And then, I'm getting excited how much money we made. And then I get a notification from the Square company where it's like, yeah, we can't transfer you this money because we think you're money laundering.
Yeah.
I go, what?
Yeah. How did you guys sort that out?
I had to. Note to self: don't put this many partners onto an ABN.
Okay.
So I had to verify. No. Like we wouldn't have seen this coming, but it's definitely something I'm going to remember for the next time I need to make an ABN. So we had to verify the details of myself, Dan and Daisy here, and then also my bassist and guitarist Lara and Finn. And so to do that, we had to. I had to supply 2 forms of valid government ID for all of us. So I've got all the very personal. I had all the very personal information of about 5 people on my phone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I'm having to go through it, and then I'm getting stressed because I've got. It's been a few days at this point, and I hadn't realized until maybe 2 days after because I was just expecting. Because usually the payment comes through 1 to 2 business days. Yeah. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'll get it in 1 to 2 business days. Don't get it, check. Yeah, we've seized your money. And I go. So then, I'm like, I'm getting all this information down, yada, yada, yada. I'm stressing out because, I haven't, like, the money's just came through, so you'll be getting yours soon, do some dials. But then, like, cool. Our sound guy and our cameraman for the night, I just go, yeah, they think we're money laundering. I'm trying to fix it. I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait.
Frantically messaging us for our passports so we can pay them.
Yeah, and it's like, 1 day goes by, 2 days goes by, because I think I couldn't get onto it instantly because I just had so much to organise, just band-wise and just in my personal life. Yeah. So, and so I just kind of... I'm stressing out. I'm going to the sound guy. I'm so sorry. This is happening. Go to the camera guy. So sorry, this is happening. Go to the Sundials. So sorry. Yeah. And then finally, the money got approved today. So whoopee.
Wow, we're rich. We're rich guys. Hell yeah.
A week later.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
But so really that's the one thing I wish I knew, just how like the logistics behind making a band, because it's essentially a small business. Like if it's you need to register your Australian business number.
I actually haven't done that with the Sundials. I got to do that now. Yeah, it reminds me.
Has it all just been going straight into your account?
Basically, so I've got a boatload of cash that I got to take to the bank to like put it into the Sundials account, and then also now I've got like, I guess, a whole bunch of money coming from you into my account. So it looks like I'm money laundering now. Like I'm just getting huge amounts of money moving in and out.
You get this?
Yeah, it's a bit rough. I'm like a drug dealer basically. So I got to figure that out like now. So yeah, but so I guess we've been talking for a while now. So I think towards the end, we'll go into like 2022 to begin with. Or I guess like the last half of 2022 was kind of the starting off for you guys. Yeah. What have you guys got that you're excited for in 2023?
Well, 2023, we've got a hell of a lot of gigs coming up,
Yeah.
and I was keen new band leader, keen new band. I'm just going yes to all these gigs,
Yeah.
and then I'm like putting it in my diary, and I'm going, okay, I got a gig then. I take a step back, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And this won't be the case with every band, but for a 9-10 piece band, things take longer,
100%.
and you can't really just fiddle around and like make a song with 9-10 people.
Yeah, you really gotta work on it.
Because 2 guitarists and a singer, like with my other bed, Flower Bed, that's what we are. With my other bed, I keep saying it. My other band, Flower Bed,
Yes.
that's what we do. We just sort of, sit down, noodle, and it's like, all right, that's cool, and then we'll build upon an idea. But especially with the sort of genres that we like to play, it's a bit more theoretical. It's a bit more just time consuming and logistical in the fact that you got to make a horn line. You got to make you got to figure out the chords for the guitar and the piano.
Yeah.
You got to make see what drum beat and bass line works. There's a lot, but so we're looking at all these gigs, and it's like that's a lot, especially for the amount of time it takes for a set list to be ready. So, but for things coming up, for things we're excited for coming up, it's our gig on February the 11th at Inman Valley at the Alma Hens Amphitheatre. That's very cool.
Big Slow.
Yeah, so it's
Album
Big
fundraiser.
Slow
Yeah.
album fundraiser.
Salsa Ballroom,
Yeah.
Tell Mama, I think as well.
Check that one.
I
out.
was
That's
I was
really
going to
cool.
that anyway. Like I work booked off and everything. So
Yeah.
That's very
shit,
convenient.
let's go.
Awesome. Yeah.
When I made
show.
when I made this band and the initial talks of like who might we want to gig with first, Big Slow was up there,
Absolutely, yeah.
and so then Carl, the bassist for Big Slow, and I guess he's one of the big leads in Big Slow. He's been to pretty much all our gigs, so shout out
awesome.
King.
Yeah.
So he just goes, hey man, like I got this gig coming up, and after hearing this, and this was at our headlining show, he was talking to me about this. He goes, I so want you on this lineup, and I just go. Instantly, I just go, fuck yes. Like, I didn't even say no.
That's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there, that one.
And then another gig we're really looking forward to is, of course, the Sundials.
the Sundials launch.
Yeah, the Sundials launch.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, so Sundials launch, I think it's, 24th of March?
Yes.
Friday. Yeah, I forget it myself.
Yeah.
But that'll be a fun one. And that's just going to be like...
Oh, yeah.
We tried to move it to a bigger venue because it's just going to sell out, basically. So get on tickets when they become available.
Get them quick.
Yeah, but it's going to sell out. There's a bunch of great bands. It's like, Witch Hunt, Violet Harlot, Funky C, Funky Do, Mum's Favorite, and the Sundials. So it's all in the Crown and Anchor band room. It's going to be freaking wild.
I remember
I'm so glad we get to play on that one.
Yeah.
I remember when you messaged me about that, and I just talked to Max about it. He's
Yeah.
like,
Nice.
Yeah,
and
we all collectively lost our shit in the rehearsal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, I brought it, and Max is like, oh yeah, big news, and then I'm just like, we've just got this lineup, and I think we would have had to stop rehearsal for about half an hour because they were like,
Yeah,
dude,
like
awesome.
everyone was just like, we got 2 guys in our band who are like real jazz men and don't know the Adelaide scene, so they're just like, who's Mum's favorite? Like the rest of us were just like, come on.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I think, like I said, it would have been cool if we got a bigger venue, but I think the Crank is just like a great spot to have
It's
a great
nice.
party at, So we just
Definitely.
gonna have a riot, yeah.
it suits the vibe,
It's
I think.
get rowdy. It's the place to get rowdy.
Well, I guess the other thing with the Sundials that we are gonna do is this part with the podcast and that launch. We got a residency coming up too, and I think it's the 13th on the Monday.
The 13th.
Yeah, Monday 13. I guess some of you guys will be coming into that front bar and noodling and doodling and seeing what you can come up with because it's like a smaller space. So I'm thinking like 6 people or 7 or something like that if we could squeeze them in there.
Yeah,
Do you reckon we could do 6 or 7?
I
Because
think
we were
so,
like
man.
3 or 4, but
Yeah.
if we can do 6 or 7, that'd be cool.
I reckon you could probably squeeze them in. I think so. The Dainty Morsels, I think when this comes out, will have played the first show, but I think you guys come along to that. We'll check out like how many people we can cram into that space in that Crown Anchor front bar,
Yeah.
and we'll be able to know from there like what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, that should be a cool
definitely.
one. That's
Yeah.
Friday. No, not Friday. February 13th, Monday, Sundials residency. Sweet. All right, that's cool. So that's like what some big shows you guys got coming up then.
Yeah, we have quite a few more as well, but I think
quite a few more
we're
as
not
well.
finalised.
Yeah.
details
Yeah,
on
they're
them,
all.
we've got dates,
two,
but we're not sure exactly
two
what's
upcoming.
happening. So
Yeah,
Cool.
but that's still they're still in the
they'll
works.
get announced very soon.
Awesome. That's sweet as. Yeah, you guys are a riot. Like, it's just a great time.
I think that's what we want to do. Just
Yeah.
make everyone have fun.
Have a party, yeah.
Yeah.
Just party wherever you guys go. Including this podcast, far
Oh
out.
my god.
But yeah, so I guess we can close out on that. Do you guys have any like final comments or questions or something like that you want to drop?
Do we?
No, I'm pretty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty shot. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't have anything.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
thanks for
that's
coming
that's
along.
very true.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess catch them at Inman Valley. Catch them at the 13th Monday. Catch them at the Sundials launch on the 24th of March. We'll see you guys there. And thanks for coming out, everybody. We've been the Sundials Podcast. Yeehaw.